Crosby had won the first Academy Award, and this, I don't want to get into politics here at the moment, but he had been a combat photographer in World War II, much decorated because he flew in bombers in very dangerous situations, and he was blacklisted by the McCarthy committee on the basis he'd been a communist, and as a result, for my good fortune, I was able to hire him because this meant nothing to me. All I knew was that Floyd Crosby was one of the best cameramen around, and I was able to work with him. And Floyd Crosby did brilliant work very quickly. It's very easy for a cameraman to light a set quickly, and generally you will see the results. It's not too good. It's also compared, not as easy, but almost as easy for a cameraman to do brilliant lighting, but he'll take all day to light the shot. And on a 15-day schedule, Floyd was both fast enough to give me all the angles and everything I needed, yet at the same time to give me the quality I needed also. Nick Rogue was a young cameraman in London who later became a very good director. And Nick, I think, was as talented as Floyd. Being a young cameraman, he was a little bit slower than Floyd, but the whole English, I don't want to get into that, English crews worked a little slower than American crews. To a certain extent, it was very pleasant. We'd start working, and suddenly we'd stop working at 11 in the morning for 11s, and we'd have tea and crumpets and so forth. Then we'd break for lunch, we'd start working again, and then we'd break for tea in the afternoon. So it was a very leisurely pace, but I've always thought of Nick Rogue and Floyd Crosby as, with the exception of Nestor Almendras, the three best. Now, Julia's waving to me, yes. Is Mark here?
Yes.
Oh, Mark, hello.
Oh my God.
Here to lodge a formal protest.
Yes.
Crosby's best film was Fall of the House of Usher. Your best film was Fall of the House of Usher. Vincent Price's best film was Fall of the House of Usher. And I'm not prejudiced.
And not only that, I want to say that our greatest leading man was the star of Fall of the House of Usher, Mark Damon.
There you go. And I think his second greatest film would have to be Mario Bava's Black Sabbath.
Yes.
You worked with two masters, Mr. Damon. I wanted to ask you, from the Tales of Terror, Dick Matheson lent me a photograph, and I wanted you to see it before you commented on it, because you probably haven't seen it in 30 years. But there was a sequence in Tales of Terror that was removed, when Vincent Price, as Mr. Valdemar, says, "What place is this? I see multitudes of people." Well, not multitudes, because you have, what, 6, 7 people here. Multitudes, though. But you shot a sequence that Matheson referred to as the Hades sequence. There is a still from it. What do you remember about that, and why did you cut it?
Was that not in the film tonight?
No. He saw multitudes of people, but we didn't.
I'm really startled. I was very pleased with that sequence.
Can we bring it for the new DVD?
Yes. This was actually, I have not the slightest idea why it was cut out. I believe it was in the release prints.
No, I've never seen that.
It was not even in the...
No, Matheson told me that he really was sorry that it was missing because it gave an added depth to Vincent being trapped on this bed while his soul was going through purgatory.
Yes.
Now, can you describe a little about, because it's hard to explain since the scene is missing, what exactly, was this a color, like the dream sequence in Usher, did it?
Yes, we used certain colored gels and filters, and this was all in the 1960s when the work we did we felt was good for the 60s. It pales by comparison to what can be done with a press of a button with computer graphics today. But there were 2 reasons for the Hades sequence. One was to illustrate what Vincent as Valdemar was going through, and also, and this was a problem in all of the Poe pictures, they were very much interior. They were very much shot in 1 or 2 rooms, and I was always worried about a claustrophobic feeling that you were almost having a stage play photographed, and I would take any possible way I could to break out of the confines of those rooms.
Yes.
And that was the reason for some of the color sequences, and one of the reasons for the Hades sequence here.
Well, I wish it could be found. I know that MGM has been bought by Sony, so I don't know what this means for all the ones that we worked on that were double features, and then they put, you know what they do, they put them out, you buy them, then they put them as double features and you buy them, and then I was told the other day, forget it, everything's going to be high definition, you'll have to buy it all over again, so.
Yes, I'm totally in favor of that.
You would be. But the Valdemir sequence also had a little trimming in the last shot of Vincent falling over Basil Rathbone and going into putrescence.
Yes, I'm a little surprised at that, because we spent a lot of time with the makeup and the transition as his face, frankly, gets more putrid as we go along. And I came in just to see the end of the picture, and I thought the really the last minute there was somehow abbreviated.
Well, the censors, which you never ever had trouble with, except in England.
In England,
when
yes.
you did the sequence with Hazel Court giving herself to the devil.
Yeah.
And Hazel said to me, she said, I don't know, I just let myself go with Nick Rogue. And since you directed that, how far did she let herself go, would you say?
Well, actually, from the standpoint of nudity, there was nothing. There was no nudity, but Hazel was a British actress and a very good actress, and she played essentially the consummation with the devil. But it was essentially in her face, in her body movements. It was a pure acting exercise. So Hazel, fully clothed, all by herself.
Is a sight to behold.
Yes, but fully clothed all by herself, purely by acting, incurred the wrath of the censor.
So they trimmed the hallucinogenic sequence where she gives herself to the devil.
Yes,
But not over here.
yes.
But, well, I really, want to find these sequences that are sitting in a vault somewhere, because it's, that's what people do now on DVD. They find deleted scenes and added footage and all this other stuff. When you made Mask of the Red Death, were you really happy with all the casting? I know you got Patrick McGee, was a wonderful Irish actor, but were you satisfied with the rest of the cast, or would you have chosen someone else?
I was pretty much satisfied. Vincent, of course, was a star, carried the picture. Hazel was excellent, and and Patrick McGee was wonderful. And when you see the film, I was particularly pleased with Jane Asher, who was only, I think, 17 or 18 years old at the time, and it was her first or second film. She went on to have a very substantial career in England, and I liked Jane very much.
And she had a very famous suitor at that time that came on the set of Mask of the Red Death.
I can tell very quickly about her suitor. Jane and I used to have lunch every day at the studio, and one day she said, a friend of mine is coming through, he's on his way to London. This was on a Friday. Is it all right if I bring him to the set and we can have lunch together? And I said, sure, who is he? And she said, well, he's with a music group from Liverpool, and they're going to be making their debut in London Friday night. And he'll come and we'll all have lunch together, and then he's going into London for his debut. And he came on, she introduced me to Paul McCartney, and I said, oh, good to see you, Paul, and we all had lunch together, and I wished him well after lunch on his debut in London that night.
When Mask of the Red Death came out, were you prepared then to do yet another Poe film? How quickly did you go into The Tomb of Ligeia after that?
It was a little while after that, because I felt that I was beginning to repeat myself. I had certain theories, whether right or wrong, connecting Poe with Freud, And I pretty much explored all of that in these films, and I really said.